right. This one is for Mr. Z. He'll probably get this probably after he does his morning thing. We're just going to talk real briefly about FD signifier, right? And what he talked about as far as what does it mean to be desirable. I only listened to maybe 5 minutes of it, maybe 10 at most. I'll try to get through the rest of it. I really can't do much of him because I don't like tropes, and basically, the bread tube is a bunch of tropes that's been learned and passed around and mixed in with a lot of word salad or terms that are code words that's supposed to make them sound cool. Not to disparage it, because that's not what this is about. I would tell FD signifier, as far as I talked about what's going on with the manosphere. Dude, if you want to stay where you are and do what you do and be happy with it or content with it, you need to leave this side of the game alone. You really do. Omar Wally found that out really quickly after about a year. You need to leave this side of the game alone. You need to leave this sector of YouTube alone. The black manosphere. You need to leave it alone because it's going to change you. It changes everybody, whether you like it or not. It's going to change you. If you stay here long enough, it's going to change you. It has to, because at its essence, the manosphere, the black manosphere, especially, is supposed to change you into whatever you're going to change into, for good or ill. Some people get angry, some people get worse. It is what it is. Some people, it saves their lives because it changes them around. Because the black manosphere is supposed to do what? Change your worldview to where you see reality, or at least as close to it as you can. So what I would tell FD signifier, man, you need to leave this sector alone. You're happily married, you like your life, you like what you do, you like the people that you're around. And if you stay over here, it's going to bother you. It's going to make you think about stuff you never thought about. And that's the problem. I can already see it. This video is proof of it. What makes you desirable? Like you said, for the most part, you never really thought about it. But now, all of a sudden, that comes into question. What makes you desirable? And the question is, desirable to whom? What culture? What place? What sector? What group? And that's just cultural. That's just nurture. What about nature? It's another side of it. That's another side of the why. And that's the whole thing about this sector, especially this sector that we're in, especially the people that you are targeting. We're into the why, not the what. What makes you desirable can be formulated out of a whole bunch of different calculations depending on your sector, the woman that you target, her culture, what she looks for, what she wants out of you, what class that you're in, your economic class that you're in, or social class that you're in. That's culture. Nature is just genetic and resources. What makes you desirable as far as that calculation is that the physical manifestation of the side that can be boiled down into calculation. Do it all the time. Some is more complex, some of it's more simple. Sometimes you can boost up what you have versus what you don't. We're not going to run through it here because that's not what this whole little talk is about. And it's really not pointed at FD signifier per se, even though he's involved because he's a lefty. The thing is that where he's going and what he's getting ready to do is dive into what he doesn't like to really dive into. He doesn't talk about the spiritual realm, the energetic realm, the intrinsic realm. Like his coach was saying, who you are and how your value intrinsically is different than your desirability. And what we call manhood or masculinity is situational, depending on the environment, just like anything else. Femininity, womanhood is going to change depending on the environment that you're in. The display of femininity and masculinity is going to change depending on the environment that you're in and the culture that you come from and the training that you have. Because masculinity, as we know it, is always two parts. It's nurture and nature. The nurture is supposed to take the nature of the person or the being and adapt them to the environment that they're thrown in. That's what Heidegger is saying. You're thrown into it. That's Heidegger's thrownness. And the person, the soul, that Heidegger took half his book to break down, which is, I think a lot of stuff was redundant, comes into a body, like your coach says. It's a shell, but it's a body. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle for your soul, a vehicle for the spark, a vehicle for your personality to work through. And that shell comes with tools. You could be short, you could be tall, you could be fat, you could be skinny. You could have an IQ of 50 or you can have an IQ 180. Those are the tools that you have to work with. That's the body or the shell or the tool or the essence that the spark was thrown into. And then the spark of the body is thrown into an environment that it has to adapt to. Now it could be Congo where you're a little boy digging coltan out for pennies. Or you could be born in Beverly Hills in the United States where everything's handed to you. And each soul and each body has to adapt to the environment that's there. Now, a rich person's got to live up to the standard to keep the wealth going. Whereas a little boy digging the red dust out of coltan out of Congo, he's just got to make enough money so his family can eat. Each is valuable to their respected family, their respected culture in different ways. Desirability is nothing but a set of choices depending on person and his options. Same thing with women. Most good-looking guys could be as good-looking as Michael B. Jordan or whatever other kind of guy, or better looking. But Lori Harvey's not going to choose him. They're not going to get a Lori Harvey or Beyonce or Kelly Rowland. Yada, 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 yada. Because they have way more options and way more requirements. Desirability is always situational. Now, they say that the physicality is not a factor, okay? And just because you look one way, can you be desirable? Sure, to certain people, to a certain segment of people, segment of women, yeah, you can be desirable. Will you be universally accepted? No. And you know that. If you went to college and you had athletes in the college and you had those kind of Brads and Chads on campus, guess who they chose? I don't care who they were. The physical alpha always got first pick. You know that. So I don't know why we pretending the dad bod, my intelligence means more, because then I've seen that bullshit and I've heard that bullshit from more than a few people. And I've had buddies that were way smarter than me, okay, that didn't get picked, and I did. And even me, I got passed over because some cat had more money, depending on what the woman wanted. Desirability is situational. Has nothing to do with what you are intrinsically. Those are two different things. What makes a person valuable is different from what makes a person desirable. Desmond Tutu from South Africa is more valuable than Boris Kodjoe. But no way in hell is Desmond Tutu more desirable than Boris Kodjoe. Not on this plane or the next, not in this life or the next. He's universally handsome and desirable. And you can see the starlets and the regular women swoon over him every time he walks into a room. Two different things. Well, what you're trying to do and what people are trying to do is mix the two things, valuable versus desirable. Would your wife desire or Boris Kodjoe or fling with Boris Kodjoe? She might. I don't know her. But you're more valuable to her because you're more loyal, you fit her class, you fit her whatever. You're more valuable to her. Two different things. Same thing with a woman. Desirability is just one factor. How valuable that woman is to you. Just with a client maybe 2 days ago, we were going through that. It came down to what does he want? And what trade-offs is he willing to make? There's one thing I will agree with Thomas Sowell on a certain plane. On a certain plane. There are no solutions, there's only trade-offs. In certain environments and under certain conditions, most conditions, it would be right. There's only trade-offs. Aren't any solutions. Very few people get a perfect person. And even that perfect person is not necessarily perfect for that particular woman or man. No such thing as perfect. Valuable is what you're looking for. You're trying to get the most value from that person and give the most value to that person. You're mixing the two metaphors. You're trying to dictate a standard of desirability that's been honed in human beings for the last 200,000 years, boss, you're not going to do it. I don't care how much feminist rhetoric you spit out. I don't care how feminists that try to redesign masculinity to fit their goals. It has nothing to do with their desirability, what they desire. Nothing. Zero. Hell, they're trying to rework females, women, in desiring certain men that they organically don't want. Man, they're having a hell of a time trying to brainwash these women. And even when they do brainwash them, it only lasts for so long. You cannot rewrite desire. You cannot legislate desire. You can't even brainwash desire into people. They've tried that. It's called advertising. If they could have done it, they would have done it already. What advertising was and has done is work with the organic or the natural desires of people and enhance it and use it and point them in certain directions. Can't rewrite it, which is why I have difficulty listening to people on the lefty side, the bread tube side, because you're as full of shit as the people on the right. You are. At least the people on the right will get into more of a why than the people on the left. Because, as far as bread tube is concerned, man, I don't know who the hell y'all listen to, man. Because you guys are supposed to be lefties. I'm like, who the hell do you guys really listen to? What kind of theories, slipshod theories, do you guys come up with? And how deep does the brainwashing go? Because you guys, I know you guys are not that brainwashed, okay? Because you read too much, been exposed to too much. You can't be that freaking brainwashed. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe that you guys been chewing up those lefty blue pills and really swallowing it, and it still has this effect on you. I just won't. But I'm just doing this for Mr. Z. FD Signifier is going to have a crisis of consciousness fairly soon, because he's going to start questioning his existence, as all people do at some point. And then that's where you start to get into a bit of Gnosticism. As your coach has, you didn't understand what your coach was saying. I can tell that you didn't understand what he was saying, because if you had understood what he was saying, then the rest of the video would have been unnecessary for the most part. But you didn't, and he didn't. Which for black people, especially black people on the left, it saddens me. I understand the materialist world of white people and how they view the world, how they get lost in their own rhetoric, which is something I can't stand about the so-called intersectional left. You get wound up in the rhetoric so much that it doesn't make any sense anymore. But anyway, I didn't want this to go on too long. So I am going to bounce off of here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.